This is the premium version. We got one that's a bit more, it features, as I said, the smart electric drive. This one, it's actually on the other prototype where we have the smart grips, the vibrating grips. It has carbon components, and lift it. It's
okay. No, it's pretty light for electric battery.
Just 11 kilograms. Here, the integration of the GSM module. So here we can put the GSM antenna. And yeah, so that's our vision of what could be the bike. And it's something we're planning to introduce to the market, too.
Why did you choose the name? Borealis is the northern light, no?
Yeah, Boreal is Boreal Wald. It's also the forest, and it's one of the forests that's the most threatened by global warming, by the impact by man. So we had this. This bike is called the Holocene. This is the name of our bike. The Holocene includes the Boreal era, and it just precedes the Anthropocene, where man has an impact on the geological state of our planet.
Wow. So that's the curve she was talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So that's.
Yeah, take a seat. Yeah. So when is this coming to market? What is your plan?
Yeah, well, we're introducing this on. We want to engage the community, so we're introducing this on crowdfunding. We've been talking to our fans, and that's driving the development on this. The choices were being done on the parts. We're getting the local bike community involved. We went to Amsterdam last week, and the reaction was just phenomenal. And it makes sense. I think it makes sense. We made several assumptions. You know, it's important to verify these assumptions because, as we know, assumptions are the mother of all, ups. So that was interesting. So it was really, and we saw how. We were trying to find something that would complement the different solutions that are available, and bring back, make the bike sexy, so it's something people want to use, but also that can be connected with other solutions that are there. Because I don't think the bike is the only solution. It's the perfect for first mile and last mile type of transport need. And I think by being connected, we can think about peer-to-peer sharing. So. Different, I'm thinking a platform like yours, you could see more options, as they're offered. So it makes everything more flexible.
So you're building the bike similar to the e-floater. Are you also thinking about creating your own, let's say, a system, as you, I think, alluded to? So
yeah,
is there
a system
sharing thing around this? Or is this more your hardware and you say, let the other people create the car-to-go model around it?
Yeah, well, one thing is that we don't know, we want some ownership but on the thing because we want to be in business. But at the same time, we think it's really important to open up. So will it be by APIs, by doing that and giving access to people? So as you mentioned earlier, are we in the business of bikes, or are we in the business of that platform that supports connected bikes? But we got to look at the whole thing. We have different skill sets in the team. They're really good at doing bikes, and let's see how we can grow it. So we have a solution that's more complete for connected bikes.
Last question from me is, you said it makes sense, and if I think about the Copenhagen wheel, it has all these sensors also taking the environment into account. Yeah. Are you also thinking about that there could, it could be a whole Arduino citizen, smart citizen kit in there, or whatever? Well,
the Copenhagen wheel is a really nice option. I really like it, but there's this thing about also being having a team of bike freaks. The Copenhagen wheel puts everything in one wheel. The weight distribution is not perfect. It becomes also people who want to dab in, work it, becomes everything's concentrated in one thing, so it becomes difficult. So we're having a modular approach. We're going for a more better weight distribution. We're going more for performance, and also for durability. Because one thing is that we're taking cues from like track bikes, but we're also integrating the geometry from cyclocross. I don't know if you know, cyclocross are like more rugged road bikes. So you have more clearance. So for northern places like in Helsinki, like Montreal, where you have got snow, this bike, you know, is more durable for that. So these parts, there's minimal exposure to the connectors, so everything's inside, but it's also something that's very modular. So if someone wants to Arduino it, hack it, and bring, you know, not only at the application level, but at the hardware level, they can access, and we'll document it so they can access this, and we might partner them to scale it, to bring it to market. So that's, I mean, there are many options, and we're looking at them.
Daniela, if you think about, let's say, this option, the other option, and people thinking about mobility in a sense, and you are trying to kind of encourage everybody to do it, how do you think this can help? Because one thing is to get them into this whole gaming mode, and the other one is maybe, let's say, this might be also a maybe more male thing, that they say, oh, we need to have a sexy thing to change my behavior. I need a new bike to do sports, you know.
I think this is the bad thing that can happen to actually to cities and to, in order to like have like this awesome objects of mobility that actually encourage you to just do that. I think one other thing which we were also talking about is safety. So actually, like Copenhagen, for example, is doing it in order to just provide a safe road and provide the conditions in order to just be more mobile. Well, hey, I totally want this, so at the moment I'm going to be a first customer, I guess.
Holger, if you what I liked about your speech was the talk that maybe we're not talking about an iCar, we talk about this whole mobility notion. And I mean, they did, you know, get some of the brilliant people from Mercedes, like JJ is working there and so on, so cool people who are really, you know, oil guys.
But he's heading the MacBook unit, right?
Pardon me?
JJ is heading the MacBook unit.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe he's not at the best use right now. But so how can we think about, is that like the biggest challenge in changing the OS? So like, I mean, even the OS in her, I mean, everything, this whole connecting these ideas, is that the next level when you say, well, I'm not in the train business, I'm in the transportation business? Are we moving into something where everything is blurred? Are we getting into like the next step up? If we talk about mobility, you thought about the third. So if you see all this, how can we make sense that this is sort of, how is it, where is it going?
No, fundamentally, yes. That's the summary of my humble talk, that actually we're entering a new age if we talk about mobility, and those stakeholders who ruled it so far might not rule it or not completely anymore in the future, right? I mean, there were surveys back in 2009, I think, that a part of a decision in North America for people buying a car around $35,000, $40,000 US were depending on the fact how well the iPod was integrated, right? And that was a shock to people like General Motors and BMW, etc., because that was the first external standard forced into their ecosystem, into their into their empire, right, that they could not control. And that's massive impact. So, and that is, as we see at the moment, and I mean, looking at this wonderful bike, I always thinking about there are still bad people that would steal it, so we have to bring it somehow with a solution for that, right? But it's something that, where, as I said, it has played together, it has to play together, and the ecosystem, and it is exactly that. How can I? Is it a platform like Alley, where I have really, I mean, you all have to use it. You have public transport, you have the public bikes, you have Uber, you have taxi, you have the next smart to go, a car to go, and actually combines that. That is, I think that's a good step into that. But of course, also Alley is relying on Android and iOS, and with that on the payment system and the ways of monetization. But yes, it is exactly that we're entering a new phase where it's not about building the actual car or the bike, but delivering the mobility behavior and the user experience.
You mentioned that you were at NOAA last week, and obviously you are also active as an investor. You are the whole finance community. So we're entering this new era. There's a lot of chances. There's passionate entrepreneurs who go there. Where's your investment community in this? Are they saying, we have to wait another 2 years and we wait for the next Tesla? Or are they saying, one of them could be the next Uber? Or are they waking up to this kind of passion to drive, good things?
Yeah, I mean, understanding the investment community means you need to understand the psychology of venture capital, right? And that is mainly driven by cycles. So 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, which is the funds they have. Meaning that if I come to them and say, okay, I have something fundamentally great and will change the way we are mobile in 7 years, and maybe you make money in 10 years, it's very difficult, especially in Europe, but also in the US. I mean, we at the time when we were looking for money with AUPEO, and we had this great connected type of car plan and vision. It turned out that we said, okay, probably the right way to look for a strategic investor, right? And then it turned out that the investor bought us, which was a nice coincidence. But that's true, and that's difficult. And on the other side, psychology of VCs is if someone is jumping on something, right, they all running after. It's this lemming effect, right? And that is true for Uber. Right? I mean, it's fundamental. It's fascinating what these guys are doing. Still, I think the valuation is something no one can explain, right? And you cannot somehow do a calculation. You just say they will be big because they're building a platform like Facebook did in social. They do this in mobility, right? And I think this is fundamentally true. Another thing is like MOVE from Israel, right? They just closed a $52 million round for pretty much what Tom and Ali and the Ali team are doing. That's something that's for me completely overheated, because that's something I say. But that is how it is. So coming back to the question, it's something where we will see more and more investments into that direction. But simply since there is no, as I said, the ecosystem is not ticking yet. The business models are not IoT, right? Intelligent clothes, textiles, wearables, etc. Fitbit, great IPO, etc. The Google Watch will wave them away. Right? They will fundamentally not exist anymore in 5 years, and this is what we always see if a new trend of that is coming, right? And that's something we all can agree to. It will be huge, right? And there will be a lot of money pouring into that, and there will be a lot of money you can make with it.
Last question to that is, we have My Taxi here from Hamburg, and obviously they got, I think, what, 50 million in funding, and then they got bought at whatever valuation. But obviously, I mean, I think in a way they invented this whole thing. They focused on the taxi, but the German Sparkasse said, oh, I don't know, the taxi system, I don't know. And then somebody, I don't know, went to a party in Paris or a conference, said, why don't we do it? And now they have a gazillion valuations. Do you have hope for European, let's say only German, but European developers who say, well, if we have an awesome idea, we can build it here as well and make it into a unicorn, into something really big? Or do we really have to go to find the money somewhere else?
I think both sides. I mean, on the one hand, someone said it this morning, the Valley history is 50, 60 years old in technology-driven people and maniacs and nerds and building big companies, right? Waking up in the valley, and we all know this, being there from time to time, you start to breathe in the morning technology, and you go to bed after the last meetup with technology, and the will to make it. So this fostered and created amazing environment of funding opportunities and ecosystem again, funding ecosystem, right? That's something we don't have here in Europe, right? I mean, London has a tradition in venture capital. In Germany, we call it risk capital. I mean, that is something in terms of mindset we're still working at, right? That we say venture has something to do with the risk, but if we label it risk, it's maybe not so popular, right? And so I think it is as it is. The only equivalent to the Valley at the moment of the North American market to start something to grow fast and big and then go global probably will be China, and that's something that will be extremely difficult out of Europe. Nevertheless, again, drinking a glass of sake, speaking Japanese, going to come, so language will not be the barrier anymore. And we see with the success in Berlin, but also Hamburg, Munich, etc. bigger funds are coming, creating. I mean, Lakestar just raised. No one knows that they just raised 350 million new fund, right? And that is something that that is there. That's in the town. That's in Berlin. The people are known. They're around. So there is hope. There's hope.
Oliver, my question to you is: if you hear all this happening in this space, you are in probably one of the hottest spaces right now. So, what's your take on it? How you want to go about spending the next 18 months building the company?
Well, actually, it is a hot space, and that's a good thing. So, Internet of Things is a very important factor. Mobility is a big important factor, and actually, it gives a solution to people, right? That's the most important thing. So, whatever solutions we are creating, right, they need somebody who needs it, right? Mobility is a strong need, and that's a global phenomenon. So, that's actually great to be in the same space. For me, I'm living the last 9 years now in Asia, so I'm spending sometimes in Europe, sometimes here. What I always experienced the last 5 years in electric mobility is people in Germany especially are talking a lot, right? Always working for public funds, right? It was the same from the speech this morning from Peter. US is different, right? Do first and then really get going, right? Germany is always somebody needs to get the money first, right? Hopefully it's the government, right? And then somebody tries to move. And that's not gonna work in the future. It's too slow. Because pace, what all the speakers just said, pace is everything.
All right, Tom, my last question for you is, after Istanbul, what is the next most exciting city, and Mexico City, what's the next big one where you want to go?
In fact, it's Santiago de Chile right now, where we are looking at not only doing the stuff that we are already having, like the app and the platform behind, but where we are looking at the opportunity to, for the first time, link these two things. Because as Holger, for example, said, the software is in our business model, as in many, the one key thing you have to do. Software is about to allocate transportation in the future, it's not the hardware. And we want to link these two things. So we want to have a first scenario where people via our application have an on-demand kind of minibus system that you can easily book and pay and all this kind of stuff. And that's where we're looking at Santiago de Chile so carefully. I would love to do it in Berlin too. But if you look at regulation, for example, it's probably a smarter idea to do it in a market that's more used to it. I'm convinced it will happen. We will have these private kind of niche players in Europe too. But since we want to do it now and not in 5 years, that's why emerging markets, both in Latin America actually as in Asia, are so interesting for us.
I think we have a great panel where your hardware can work in this software, encouraged
Absolutely.
by these points, and put in a whole frame and maybe funding some money for it. For me, that was a nice story. Thank you all, guys.